Hello, my name is Darley Hart and welcome to Goodreads. Goodreads is a site for rating books, making book lists, keeping track of your own reading, and much more. Today I'll be showing you ways that it can be very useful in a high school classroom. To start off with, as you can see here, it's a great place to rate books you've read, and also a good place to find reviews on books. Let's go ahead and look at Animal Farm since it's up here. When taken to that book's page, you can rate it yourself, see a preview, listen to the preview. You can see rating details, how many ratings, which is great when it's a lesser known book. There will be genres of that particular book listed here. And then if you keep scrolling, you'll find lots and lots of reviews. Oops, sorry, these are question and answers. All the way down here, there we go, community reviews. This is where you can find reviews of the book from people who loved it all the way down to people who hated it. You can filter them through this edition, the number of stars, however you want. Here also are lists with this book on it. Apparently this one is one of the best books ever, and books everyone should read at least once. Scrolling back up here. Here you can find out about the author, and if you click here it will take you to the author's page. The author does not have to have an account, obviously, since a lot of famous authors are dead, but authors who are still living often will actually control their own account, and you can go and ask them questions, which we will touch on a little bit more later. Up here in this corner you can recommend a book to a friend. You can see its stats, and you can see recent status updates. Alright, so moving on, if you go back to the main page, this is my account that I'm using for an example. Over here, you can see books you are currently reading. As you can see, I'm having a bit of a nostalgia streak, rereading Shiloh. I'm also at the same time reading a book by my favorite author, a new one that just came out, and also reading Quiet Power, The Secret Strength of Introverts. So here, you can see how many pages I've read in each book and how far into the book that means I am percentage-wise. I'm actually reading more books than that, to be perfectly honest. See, you can add as many books as you'd like that you're reading at the same time, and if you want to update it, let's update this one. You click on there and you can add the number of pages you've been reading. If you finished a book, you can go ahead and say I'm finished, and it will automatically take you to a page where you can give that book a number of stars, give it a review, etc., etc. Oops. Down here is a book challenge. Each year you can create a book challenge. You don't have to do it right at the beginning of the year, but you can select a certain number of books that you would like to finish by the end of that year. And this tells me I'm 8 books ahead of schedule. I set my goal a little bit low this year because I knew it was going to be busy. You can view that challenge by clicking on it. They'll take you here, and then if you keep clicking on through, you can see the exact books I've read throughout the year, and then down here are your friends through this site and the books they've read and how far they are on their reading challenge for the year. Over here are more participants, the average books pledged, and a lot of interesting statistics like that. Here's the same kind of thing for previous years for reading challenges. Alright, going back to the first page. Goodreads is a good place to see and also create book lists. So to browse other people's book lists, you can come up here to Browse and down to Lists. And you can look up anything from, you can type in a genre, you can type in something more specific like books that made me cry, best Lyme disease books, BBC Book Club. A lot of book clubs have their own lists on here. There ought to be a band. Okay, that's new. But like I said, you can get creative with it. And then you can also have your own private lists on your account, where I'm going to go down to here. They're actually called bookshelves, not lists. And it's a great way of keeping track of what books you want to read, what ones you've already read, and which ones you're currently reading. Those are the 3 main ones that you start off with when you create an account. So that is definitely not the only books I've ever read in my life, but they're the ones that I have added on here. I'm currently reading 5 books, and I only have 332 books on my want to read list. Wow, that's so low. Anyway, down here are more lists you can create, or bookshelves, sorry. Want to own, rate picture books, fairy tale and myth and other adaptations. That's one of my favorite genres. Books I'd love to teach, I'll click on that one. So this would be good for a teacher to make lists. They can make them via genre, via topic, and it's a good way for students to go onto their account and then to choose a book that they want to read off those lists that the teacher would recommend. They can also, or teachers can also put lists up for, like, they want a student to choose a specific book from this specific list. You can choose from A, B, C, D, etc. Here's some books that I thought would be fun to teach. Honestly, 12 Angry Men would be awesome. Importance of Being Earnest. Some of these are a little bit more out there, and others are, I think, lend themselves brilliantly to teaching. Yellow Star, things like that. Alright, so those are lists, and you can also have the students make their own bookshelves and share them with their friends, and you can also have them do a community one. The bookshelves are great because they show author, rating, the shelves you have them on, the dates you've read them, lots of different things. So going back up to the top, if you click on Browse, there are some giveaways and new releases. It's a great way to keep track of that. There's a way to blog. You can search books by favorite genre or just browse them. Up in the community section, you can create groups, which is a great way to do things as a class. You can create discussions, so you can have students discuss certain books or submit a certain number of comments for an assignment. You can find good quotes. You can communicate with authors, like I mentioned earlier. I've communicated with several of my favorite authors on this site, and it's really rewarding. There are trivia games that you can find about well-known books or create your own. Pretty much anything on here you can create your own, which is something fun to have your students do once they finished a book. Quizzes, the teacher can create a quiz, the students can create a quiz. It can be funny, it can be serious. It's a good assessing tool. There's ways for students to post creative writing on here, whether it's fan fiction or poetry that they've written, all sorts of things, people events. So basically, there is a lot you can do on this site and many ways you can be creative about how you use it with your students. So I would highly recommend this site as something to use not only for an ELA classroom, but any kind of curriculum where you want your students to research authors, to read books. It's a great way for even a math class to have students go online and just look up books about mathematicians, for social studies to go on and look up biographies. Even if they don't have accounts, you can sign in and read reviews and basic blurbs for various books. I'll click on this one again. Each book, of course, has a blurb at the beginning, which is great for them to kind of get a sense to it and see if it's something they might want to read. It's just a wonderful site for any students from any class to find a lot of great information and have an opportunity to communicate with their classmates. All right, I hope this has inspired you to perhaps use Goodreads in your classroom, and good luck!